is proof that it's worth searching out your spots at the start of the session, get the swim going, and they're going to be all over you.
Lovely Karpie mirror, this, £33, taken on the high impact banoffees, white banoffee hook bait and the ready tied supernatural rigs. Right guys, what I want to talk to you today about is my swim layout. First of all, if you can see, I've actually got two swims. This is position 1 at Karpie, and it's actually meant for 2 anglers, so there's enough room for 2 people to be bivvied up in here. But as I'm fishing my own, I've got to consider the water that I want to be looking at, so I want to view both swims. So I've set right back at the back, so I can see out of this position and out of this position. It's also very important that your bivvy's not in the way for casting. You know, you don't want to be like hooking the top of your bivvy and cracking off, snapping a rod. That's the worst case scenario. Right, the bivvy I've gone for is the Tempest Air. I've been a big fan of the original Tempest for a long time and an avid user of it. The main difference is the Air is 10% smaller and doesn't come with a zip in front. Perfect for the mobile angler like myself. But as you can see, this one's got an overwrap on it, so it makes it suitable for longer sessions. You know, it'll keep you warm, it'll keep you dry, and it gives you a little bit more space when you're doing a week in France or a 2 or 3 nighter back home. The main things that you should be aware of with the Tempest Air is how you set it up. Basically, it's very simple and it is probably its key strength. You first lay the ground sheet out, position it where you want it in your swim, like we talked about casting, make sure it's out of the way. Take the bivvy from the bag, you put the 5 legs together, splay them round, and then you've got the mechanism on the top. You pull over the metal lever and attach the stainless clip. That sets the bivvy and its shape. On the ground sheet, there's a tensioning points, and they correspond to the sides of the bivvy. Basically, once you clip them on, that sets the tension for the bivvy. Once you go round the ground sheets, there's elasticated pegging points, and again, they match with the pegging points round the bivvy. Once you've done that, and you've put the overwrap on top, that simply goes on exactly the same pegging points all the way round. So you can just take the same pegs out and go on top of, or if you want a little gap, you know, you put another set of pegs in all the way around, and that way you're never getting blown away. As you can see, the key benefit of a Tempest bivvy is the ability to get the bed chair right to the back. You know, the worst thing I hate in fishing is reaching behind on the bed chair trying to find stuff in the dark. As you can see, everything goes in front of the bed chair and it's easy access. So first of all, the bed chair, that's a flat 6 by Tracker. Ultra light, ultra comfortable, and old bed chairs tended to have that curvature like at the head end, which means you can't lie on your side, you end up with a really bad back. That's a really comfy bed and weighs absolutely next to nothing. You know, coming round from that, I've got my bivvy table. It's a Carbon Effect Tracker one again. Got my tackle box on there with all the bits I need for this session. I've just got a few essentials out, you know, so I don't have to go rummaging through the box in the middle of the night. I've got everything I need just to hand. Coming round, I've got my brew kit. I've got a Tracker titanium stove, Tracker kettle, all there, easy access, again, straight in front of me. I've got the little comfy chair that helps your back. You know, when you sit on a bed chair for a week session like I am here in France, you sit in the centre of the bed chair and it all sags and gets uncomfortable. That little chair on there will make your life a lot better, trust me. Rucksack's tucked in the corner. There you have it, you know, this is how I set my swim up, and I've thought carefully about the layout. You should think carefully about yours too. Fish number 2 for me, 38 pounds of Karpie mirror. A little bit slower on my side than Dan's. The bulk of the fish seemed to be up the other end of the lake, but I took this one at 120 yards on the gravel spot into the wind using 13-foot infinities and the 12-pound tapered subline.
Well, we are into another fish. It's an incredible run of action to the first sort of 12 hours of being here, and they just seem to really be responding to this bait. We're using the high impact from Mainline, which is a shelf life bait, and the perfect sort of bait for this sort of venue. You can fish for a week and it doesn't go off, and the fish are absolutely loving it, and the foodstuffs that go in it make it pretty much identical to the baits from Mainline that everybody knows and loves, like the Cell and Activate, stuff like that. They've put really good ingredients in these, so the fish enjoy eating them and keep eating them. That's the important thing. A lot of ready-mades are very bitter to the taste, very strong tasting, and you might catch them once on them, but you won't catch them again and again. But with these ones, you will. Really important not to panic at this point. You know, it's obviously a decent fish. We all want to get them in the net, but you can pull too hard, and when it's on a short line, you can snap the hook link, pull the hook out. You know, it's a powerful rod, 3 3/4 test curve. Just take your time. Looks like a good one. We can wade out a little bit to get him in the net. Get in the net. Yes! That is a proper big one. Yes! Well, how about that? It's 2 a chuck at the moment. Another fish. Every bite has come on these banoffee wafters. They are absolutely amazing hook baits. And every single bite is coming on the ready tide rigs. Can you believe that? 30 years of carp fishing and I'm using ready tide rigs. It just shows you the stuff straight out of the packet is more than good enough. You'll notice that I'm not playing the fish on the clutch, so I'm back winding when they want to take line. And the reason for that is it's kinder to the line. Oh, tipped over his dorsal again. If you're using the clutch, basically you are putting twist into the line. It's a lovely way to play the fish, but we're hoping for a lot of bites in this session, so I'm going to protect the line as much as I can. But I always bring spares with me to France. I've got a couple of spools of 15-pound subline. You know, if you get cut off, or you get a trailer go through your lines and ruin all your line, or you pick up one of your other lines, you can easily damage a spool of line, and you need spares so that you can carry on fishing effectively. Oh. Right, you're ready. Get in the net, get in the net, yes! Right, it's finally time to get the big one out. So we're just going to break the net down first of all. Obviously if you can get in with chesties on, it's even better for the fish. And all I'm going to do is slide him into this tracker retention sling. If you haven't got one of these are a brilliant bit of kit. I couldn't fish without these now. So much better for the fish. And on my lake in France, we've actually got a rule that you're not allowed to get the fish out of the water in the landing net. It must be transferred into the sling. You don't have to take it out of the net, but just do what I've done there, slide it into the sling, and then just check before you pick the fish up that the whole thing's in the sling, and just check his fins are flat against his body, which they are, nice and flat like that, not bent back the other way. Do the other side as well. Okay, the scales are all zeroed and Mr. Peck is on hand to help me. Just make sure he's fully in there. Cool. Right, let's get him on the mat. That is heavy. I've already taken the hook out in the water. All I did there was just supported the fish's head, got it against my leg, just took the hook out and got that out of the way. That's another way a lot of damage can happen on these beautiful fish, is if the hook's still in, it gets caught in the net, you lift it out in the net, it tears the mouth. So basically I've got the fish facing the cord at the front there, you can see, and then all I have to do is get this net out of the way. There we go. Cover his eyes up. Just zipping up the ends now so that he can't slip out when we weigh him. Just making sure that we don't zip any fins up. Fins are nice and flat against the body. Okay.
54.5.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Get in! When you're going to pick a big one up like this, oh, just cover his eye up if he flips. Basically slide your hand down his head, get round that fin there, that ball joint to grip onto, down there onto his anal fin, level him up, and there you go. 54 pounds, wicked. Well chuffed with this one. Just a dream session. And if you're worried about using shelf life ready-mades, worry no more, they're wicked. Wow, look at that. What a beast. Well chuffed with this one. Well chuffed. Right, give him a little kissy. Mwah. Thank you, my love. Wicked, what a beast. Get in. And there he is, the last one of the flurry of action. 33 pounds on the button, this one. Taken just down that margin on one of those Whisker DFs, the 12 foot 3.5. And it just shows you don't need to break the bank to catch beautiful fish like this. Yet another beast of a carp from Karpie, 46 pounds on the button this one, and every rod has got exactly the same rig on. So let's get this fella back and show you what it is. I'm not having you over, I promise you I'm using ready tied rigs. Now they are rigs that are pretty much identical to what I use myself, and it says on there, as used on Underwaters Part 7 and 8, and it was a rig that I used to catch the big plated on, an awesome day ticket carp. Obviously I tied that one myself, but people do have problems tying D rigs. They have problems with the little knot that goes on the top of the D, so we've made them commercially available, and this is the largest one in the range. This is the size 4 to 15 pound IQ2, perfect for this sort of situation. Big baits, fish with big mouths, I want to use big hooks. So let's show you the rigs all set up. First of all, we've got the quick change version. So we've got one of our white banoffees from the high impact range. That's been pulled onto the little bait band that's already on the micro rig swivel. So you haven't got to tie a hair, literally that just gets pulled on, and then you want about half of the swivel inside the bait. So only the bottom eye is just sticking out the bottom there, and you can see it's nice and tight on the hair stop so the bait's not going to come off. Then you've got that lovely D that's been created by using a whipping knot and then the knotless knot. But obviously all that's done for you. They're 7 inches long, and in the middle of it, I don't know if you can see there, we've got a sinker. Now on its own, that's not heavy enough to hold the hook link flat on the bottom. Really you want to be putting a bit of the dark matter putty around that to guarantee it lays flat. But I've had so many bites without using it, I'm just fishing it as it is. And then going down to the end, if I can reveal what's underneath there, what I've basically done is cut the swivel part of the ring swivel off, and then the ring, I've just squeezed it to make it oval so that that sleeve goes over it that little bit easier, and you can see there's a bit of saliva on there. I've put a bit of saliva on it to help it get over that and then over the quick link. And then I've got a hybrid leg clip, and again I've clipped the ring off the end of that because we've already got a ring on the end of the hook link, and then I've replaced that with a quick link, and then the two are joined together like that. So basically I don't have to retie the hybrid leg clip at all. All I do is take the hook link on and off at that point. And the hybrid leg clip just fished there with a rubber on the back of it. All these items are compatible with the whole range. There's no super glue needed. And that just pushes on the back there. I've got it pushed on a fair way. I don't want to dump the lead every single bite. There's no snags or weed out there, so I don't need to lose the leads. And it's a 3.5 ounce distance lead. That's my favourite one. It's very nose heavy, very stable in flight, and goes a long way as well. And then to neaten it all up, I've just got some of the dark matter tubing pushed in the top there. I'll just cut it to a point and then thread the line through it. Goes through really, really easily through this stuff. That just pushes into the end of the rubber, and that's it. That is the complete rig. So that's the quick change version. Let's show you the standard lead clip version. So again, from the bait down, so we've got one of those pink spicy crab slow sinkers, the high vis ones on there, pulled on exactly the same way. Every now and again you might snap the little bait band that's on the end of that micro rig swivel, so you want to be getting some more. They come in the Guru range. They're basically used for putting pellets on, and you just loop to loop them on the top of that swivel and then pull them through the bait. You can tie the baits on as well, so you can do away with that bait band and then just tie it on with some dental floss, which I have done, you know, on most of my other sessions. But again, this is working so well for me, I'm not bothering to do it. And then on the end of it, you've got a ring swivel. That's how they come, and you can see there that ring swivel is clicked up inside that standard lead clip. That creates the pivot point. On the other rig, it's the quick link and then the ring on the end of the hook link. This time it's the ring swivel itself, and that pivot point will stop it from tangling and also helps it to lay out nice and flat on the bottom. And basically, if I'm going to replace that one, rather than pulling the sleeve out the way as I do on the other one, I'd pull the swivel out of the leg clip, cut it off, tie a completely new rig on, put another bait on, and we're ready to go. So what makes the rig so effective? Well, first of all, you've got your stiff mono section there, the IQ. That forces everything away from the lead and keeps the hook link dead straight. So when the fish sucks the bait in, it's feeding the lead really, really quickly. And that, coupled with that curved shank style hook, where it's coming out the front of the eye there, makes that hook turn really aggressively. So if I put that in the palm of my hand, can you see there straight away, as soon as I tighten the hook link up, bam, it's turning over. It just wants to grab the flesh. That is really, really effective, and I think that combination of the stiffness of the hook link and the style of hook, I think gets you more bites because it's really springy and it reacts really quickly in the fish's mouth. And if you couple it like I have here, I'll just put that on my knee, with a semi-buoyant bait, what's going to happen underwater is the hook is going to lay flat on the bottom and the bait is just going to hover above, and that's actually going to obscure the hook from the fish's view as it comes over the top of the rig. The IQ itself is almost invisible as well, which is not doing any harm whatsoever, but I think it's just the way it sits on the bottom and how quickly it reacts in the fish's mouth. You know, that's what makes it so effective, and I'm getting some absolutely amazing hook holds here. The fish got really good mouths in this lake, which makes it even easier, but I'm getting some superb hook holds and I'm pulling out a very, very few fish. So that is the complete system. Very, very tangle free. The tubing makes sure the whole thing doesn't tangle, and it also protects the flank of the fish when you're paying the fish. And because that tubing is so heavy, it will hold everything round the rig down on the bottom. I'm fishing reasonably slack lines as well, so the fish can come in and feed all over it without giving me line bites. It's such a simple setup, so easy to put together. If you put this on, you'll be fishing as effectively as I am. There's a barbless rule here at Karpie, so what Darryl and I are doing, because we're using barbed ready tied rigs, we didn't know in advance, we're just pinching the barb down with the crimping tool. Sometimes the barb snaps off completely, sometimes it just crushes down completely flat. One little tip when you're playing fish on barbless, if you start losing them, one, it can be a blunt hook, but also it can be an idea to put a bit of shrink tube under the eye of the hook and bend it in aggressively, and that helps the hook turn more aggressively and so stay in a bit better. And the rigs that Darryl was using, the braided rigs and also the DF rigs in the ready tied range, have already got that shrink tube on for exactly that reason. The ones I'm using here, the IQD rigs, form such an acute angle because of the pattern of the curved shank hook and the stiffness of the IQ hook link, that they do exactly the same job. And we've been getting some banging hook holds here, absolutely banging. You see there with that rubber pushed further on the lead clip, the lead has stayed on the hybrid lead clip. Don't need to lose it if we don't have to. Get in my net, you lovely carp. Yes, wicked. And there he is, a gorgeous, clean 34 pounder. Proper muscle pack, this one. Ah, wicked. Middle rod.
I'm coming, I'm coming.
Double take, double take. It's going.
Kapow!
Wind down into it before you pick it up, before you lift up. Rewind. That's it.
Right, and Rod, that one's got fish on it.
Pick that up then. Do the clutch up and
Wind down.
wind down.
Until it goes tight, and just pull. Yeah?
Yeah.
Triple whammy!
Madness, absolute madness. He's all right. Oh. Bionic carp. Come on, come on. Get in the net. Gotcha! One down, two to go. He's getting the nets, number two. Bosh! Obviously, ladies and gents, if I was fishing on my own, there's no way I'd be fishing as many rods as this. But we just wanted to highlight a really good area over there and an area out in open water. And none of us could have imagined that the action was going to be the way it is. If I didn't have Darryl here to help me, then I would no way be fishing this many rods. Cheers, mate. And I think I'm going to have rods out the water for quite a while again while we sort all these out. Come on, fella, in you come. Ease you towards that net. Get in my net. Get in my net. Yeah! With a little help from my friends. And here he is, the first of the treble take. 41 pounds, 12 ounces. What an absolutely pucker carp this is. Well chuffed. And this is the second one, also taken from the longer spot out in the middle. 25 rod lengths on the Banoffee wafters. And this one goes 31 pounds. And I'm sure we've got one bigger to show you. And that is the last one of the trio. 44.5 pounds, absolutely nailed on that ready-tied IQD rig. Chill, my friend. Oh, it was never coming off. And I am taking them straight out of the packet. You probably don't believe me, but I am. They're more than good enough to catch beasts like this one.
Well, you've seen the success that Dan's been having on the ready-tied rigs. He's using the IQD rig. I'm using the Supernatural version. Very simple, simple like the rigs I use back at home, and caught this absolute clonker, 46 pounds. Absolutely over the moon with this one. I'm going to slip it back and I'll show you the rig in some more detail. To replicate how I'm fishing it here at Karpie, you need 3 products. Firstly, a lead, secondly, a lead clip action pack, and thirdly, the ready-tied rig, which is the Supernatural with the wide gape hooks. Put these down and show you how it looks all ready tied. This is how it goes together. So why do I choose this? Basically, it's because of its anti-tangle properties and its safety. I'd use this in 99% of my fishing back home or abroad because it does everything I need. It prevents tangles and it's safe if the fish gets in the snag. What I mean by that is, basically, you've got my anti-tangle tubing that has to be longer than the hook link. Basically, if the hook link can't reach around the back, then you shouldn't suffer a tangle. So first of all, you thread that, you go down to the tail rubber. The tubing pushes into the tail rubber, probably goes in about 5 to 10 mil, and that just grips on the rubber nicely. Before you push it onto the lead clip, you just basically moisten that with a little bit of saliva and push it down not too far. You know, if you jam that right down, the fish could end up towing the lead, and that's not what we're trying to do. I'm not saying that you want to drop the lead for every single fish you catch, because obviously they cost £1.50 each, which is a lot of money. So push it down, what I'd say, about halfway down the ridges, and that's safe, you know, and you'll only lose it when you need to land that fish. Moving down, the hook link itself. It's tied with 25 Supernatural braid with a size 6 extra strong wide gape, because these are the Euro ones. Back in the UK, they come with a standard wide gape on the 18 Supernatural. Both are perfect for 99% of the situations. I'd go for this one in more heavy duty situations. Bait size, I'd recommend you use it with boilies between 18 and 20 mil. Again, you can put a snowman rig on there. You get a range of different boilie stops in the packet, so that you always got the correct hair length, which is vital. So there you have it. That's my rig, simple but effective, and trust me when I say there's not a carp in the world that you couldn't catch on this. Here we go, another cracking fish from Karpie, 32 pounds. Taking on the ready-tied rigs, proof in the pudding that you don't need to be complicated to catch lovely fish like this.
Well, we're into another fish down the tree line. Just to talk you through the different rods in the range and what you get for your money. Obviously the top of the range is the Basia, and that's with the special carbon that doesn't twist. So the rod comes back straight and out straight, and they're the rods I'm using on the right hand side of the swim. Top of the range. They're slimmer than an Infinity, which used to be the top of the range. They're faster recovery, they're lighter, they're just crisper. And then obviously the Infinity needs no introduction, an absolutely fantastic rod, but again, a little pricey. And then down from that, you've got the longbow, and you would have seen me using the 12-foot 3 3/4 longbow at Sandhurst in the UK. Fantastic all-round rod. And again, don't be scared by the test curve. 3 3/4 would be my top choice, because you can always pull a little bit less, but if the rod's completely hooped over and you've got no control over the fish, they're playing you rather than the other way round. And then down from the longbow are these ones. These are the cheapest ones in the range under the DF banner. Still got 50mm butt rings, rung for distance, long slim handles, which makes it much easier to cast long distance. And you're basically going to find these are a little bit thicker in the diameter, they're a little bit heavier in the blank, the recovery's not quite as fast, but they're still more than adequate for the job. So if you've got a very good job or you've won the lottery, Bayesiers. And down from that, depending on your budget. But really, don't be put off by these fellas because they are a fantastic rod for the money. Come on. Yes, he's ready. Maybe not. In you come. Get in the net. Yes, got him. Oh, made a bid for freedom now, but he is mine. And there he is, pristine 26 pounder. And if you use that information I've given you about the Daiwa rods, I'm sure that you will find something that perfectly suits your pocket and your fishing. You can really bring a swim to life, especially like I have done down here, by not fishing it. And I basically didn't fish last night and put 2 or 3 kilos of boilies in. Started fishing again today, and the action has been fast and furious. Put a little bit more bait in before I cast the rods in, and fish is just coming in close now. It makes such a difference having bait in the water and no line. And my advice is, if there is a draw on the lake you're fishing and you get a bad draw and you're not confident, if you've got the kahunas to do it, bait up and don't fish. Don't fish at all. Don't put any rods in the water and let the fish get on your bait, because I promise you they will. Whatever the weather, the fish will get on your bait. And we've seen it on Gigantica loads of times. I'm sure it will work on here as well. Even a poor looking area can be brought to life by bait and no line. And it's worth doing it as well during the session. So if you've had a couple of really good days in an area, and then that area starts to dry up, just stop fishing it. Just fish another bit of the swim. I'm lucky here, I've got a really big swim, a double swim, and I've got the chance to move off of one area onto another. But even if I didn't have, you know, I'd seriously consider baiting the swim and not fishing it at all for 24 hours, halfway through the week. And bet your life a swim that's gone dead will come back to life by doing that. And most people, and I used to be the same, are like, if I'm here for 7 days, I'm fishing for 7 days. But you have to look at baiting as fishing. And I'm certainly going to be doing a lot more of it when the swim dries up, or the area's been battered for a while and nothing's happened for a little while. Wind in, put bait in, and leave them to it. And I promise you it will kickstart the runs again. I do use a lot of bait if I'm getting a lot of bites. But on those sort of spots down the margins, oh, right hand rod, Daryl Peck, right hand rod. Carnage, total carnage, oh yeah. Come on. This time, get in the net. Yes, get in. That is a proper big one. Well, this is just like the session of my life. I am fishing 2 swims on my own, to be fair. This is a double swim. So having 2 different baited areas is obviously doubling my catch rate. But I'm loving it all the same. Doesn't happen very often. Can't remember the last time this happened to me, actually. But talking of bait, as I said before, anglers who don't get their bait for free suspect that anglers like our good selves use loads all the time, and we don't. Well, I certainly don't anyway. If I get a lot of bites, I use a lot of bait. I'll start on that marginal spot with probably a kilo and a half, and I put a few key in for the 12 hours before I stopped fishing to give the fish some feed to keep on. And after each fish or couple of fish, I'm putting another half a kilo out, something like that. And it is paying dividends. And on the right hand spot where this has come from, I'm probably putting a kilo out after each fish, maybe half a kilo. So if I get loads of bites, I'll use loads of bait. But I'm not one for putting 10 key in right at the start. That's not really my way. The most I'll ever put in is probably 5, and that's only on certain lakes. This one, you don't need to on this lake at all. Come on, fella. Get in my net. Get in my net. Yeah, got him. 42 pounds, 12 ounces. Well chuffed with this one. Another one on that spicy crab pink hook bait, and it just shows the bait and the baiting strategy is working. Had a 25 pounder at the same time on the other set of rods out on the long spot, and can't wait to get the rods back in and see if we can get some more. Wicked. So I am currently using 15-pound green subline, and it perfectly suits the colour of the water here. It's very green, the water, got a very sort of milky green tint to it. I try and camouflage my line to the colour of the water if I can. So at Wellington Country Park I'll be using brown line, same as at Sandhurst. You'll probably see me using brown line as well there. That matches in with the colour of the water really well. Here I've also got brown on my other rods, to be honest, and it certainly isn't putting the fish off. But when I'm fishing for really line shy fish, I do change the colour around. And this 15 pounds is really 18 or 20 pound line. It's underrated, which basically means it breaks at a much higher breaking strain than it says on the tin. And that's because all other lines in the past did the same thing. So big game, Pro Gold, Nash Bullet, all of those belt and braces lines broke a lot higher than their stated breaking strain. So people got hold of them and said, God, this 15 pound line, it's really strong. Well, it's not 15 pound line, it's 18 pound line or 20 pound line. And we've done the same thing with this because that's what carp anglers expect. No one really seems to pay attention to diameter. It's 040, this one. More people in Europe do, but certainly the English anglers, they just look at the poundage. And this is real belt and braces stuff. I can fish with this sort of up to about 120 yards with these Bezier rods. This is real strong, high abrasion resistant line, and it sinks very well as well. That's the other key part of it. Very, very soft as well for how abrasive resistant it is. Most abrasive resistant lines are very wiry, they don't cast very well. This does both. And for an all-rounder, I'd recommend the 15. I've used the 20 pound at Wellington Country Park when it's just savagely weedy. You can pull whole weed beds in with that, no problem. And I go down to the 12, which is 035, which is normally a 15 pound line. I go down to the 12 pound if I'm having to cast a long way. And then if you're looking for extreme castability, then the Adrenaline is the one. It's even more supple than subline, so it's even easier to cast. So if you're new to carp fishing and you want a line that casts really well, doesn't give you any problems, is nice and forgiving, then Adrenaline is the one. And if you're going to cast a long way with that, I couple it with a tapered subline leader. Personally, I use a 4-turn water knot. That takes the force of the cast, and then your Adrenaline's flying off the spool. And although that's been out a few years, the Adrenaline, it's still a favourite of a lot of anglers because it is so easy to use. It doesn't sink quite as well with subline as the name would suggest, but it does fly off the spool. And then finally, the one that I used to use most of the time is the fluorocarbon called Contour. And that only comes in 033 diameter.